Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. We have the CMO of BET. We have Kim Paige. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, guys.
Give her all her acronyms, EVP and CMO.
Not the initials, all of the initials.
And CMO.
Thank you,
So for
guys.
people that don't know, what are your responsibilities at BET?
Really, quite honestly, it's about marketing, right? It's the strategy behind what we do. It's supporting all of our shows across all of our platforms, from the linear side, the cable side. Cable side of the business to digital to streaming. We just launched BET Studios, which is like a huge play that we're doing with Kenya Barris. So really kind of setting up the whole strategy behind that, how the brand shows up, how we get people excited about the content, all of the things that we're doing in the marketplace. So yeah, and I get to work with an awesome team.
I saw when you first started working at BET, and they actually hired you from outside of media. So tell me how all of that happened, because you came from Coca-Cola.
Right. So I started really traditional brand management track. So started at P&G. That's where you start if that's what you want to do, because it's really known for training and development. Procter & Gamble. And then from there went to Coke. Worked at Coke for probably the bulk of my career, about 17 years at Coke, but really ran the Sprite business for a very, very long time, both nationally and internationally. And then from beverages, then I transitioned to beauty. So moved to New York from Atlanta, was a CMO at Coty, ran a number of our businesses, ran the Shea Moisture business for a while it was acquired by Unilever, and then got the call from BET. So I've always danced around media and entertainment. Again, when I was at Coke, ran the our relationship with the NBA, LeBron, Drake, all the talent that we had, especially on Sprite. We had a lot of connection to culture and hip hop specifically. But yeah, it was the call to kind of jump straight into media, which was to me it couldn't have been at a better time if you think about all the stuff that's been happening,
right.
For the last 2 years. And I think so for us to think specifically at BET, I've always kind of looked at it and was a client for 17 years. So now on the other side of the table, and to be a part of something that, really is rooted in, I think, what we do, because for us, Black lives have always mattered. If you think about when it was started over 40 years ago. But in addition to content, I think we are really committed to changing outcomes for the community. And so if you think about all that was happening over the last 2 years, we felt like we were on the front lines, right? So between COVID and managing all of the things that were happening to our community and our audience, we felt a deep sense of responsibility and obligation.
So you started right before the pandemic.
No. So I started about 6 months before.
Woo, that is right.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That was no joke.
So how difficult is it for companies? I know at one time it was difficult for BET to get the same amount of sponsorship dollars from these corporations as in some of these other networks. Is it still that difficult?
It's we're in a moment right now. I say everybody's chasing black.
Yep.
So thankfully the business is doing really, really well. But it's always been difficult. Sadly, right? Because we are always trying to champion and advocate for our community and for our audience. And I think, even, while I was at Coke, we always had to make the case for action. Even on Sprite, why do you want to support hip hop? It's what are you talking about? We're here to advance and contribute to the community. But I do think that it continues to be, an interesting conversation.
You got to make sure this continues even after a moment.
Yes, exactly. So that is kind of always the challenge, because it's this is not something that you just kind of come in and co-opt and, try to connect and, with our culture when it's convenient for you, right? And so, but we've been able to demonstrate that, our culture is culture, right? And so if you're trying to, whether you sell wine or widgets, if you're not connecting with our audience, you're not relevant, because there's such a strong connection between culture and commerce, right? And so I think the story that we've been able to really champion and tell at BET has just been consistent, right, in terms of that messaging, because we value the audience so much. And so really trying to your point, show advertisers the value of this audience, right? And so I often talk a lot about, when return, ROI, but it's return on influence for us.
Why do you think a lot of artists don't take pride in BET like they should? You look at, for instance, the BET Hip Hop Awards, right? And you think about the 5 biggest hip hop artists, and I don't think they were there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you look at the Grammys, and then they'll show up at the Grammys, or they'll show up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But when it comes to home, it's we don't get the necessary support from our own.
Yeah, that's a real conversation. And I think, we talk about it a lot. And so, one, I just want to thank you guys for the partnership and the support and the love that you give us. You know, it's an interesting conversation, you know, around where you really feel validated and valued. And I think for us, to your point around being home, there's so many like firsts that have happened on that BET stage, right? You know, and then, you know, after, become, big stars, there is this kind of a little bit of a disconnect. And we talk about it a lot. And sometimes we even call it a black tax, right? Like we, we get taxed in a certain way. But my perspective is, let's take that tax to a luxury, like, because you're always going to be welcome back home, right? And so when things happen, it's the place where you come back to. Which is why I love when I see, a lot of our big stars, whether it's, Beyonce or Kendrick, when they come back, it's just huge.
Right.
But it is an interesting conversation.
Right. We complain all the time about, the Grammys shouldn't matter. And it's not fair. But then we are not showing up. And the Soul Train Awards, because I want to make sure we get into that, because this is exciting too. And I love the Soul Train Awards. I actually have had the opportunity to go a couple of times. But it's going to be in New York for the first time at the Apollo. So what is the thinking behind that?
Yeah, so one, everybody loves Soul Train Awards. I mean, honestly, it really is like just this big party. And if you think about like Don Cornelius and what he was doing back at that time, it was just pretty amazing. So, we've been having a lot of conversations, literally the last 2 years. We've been, reimagining BET. It's like, let's be, bold and disruptive. And so everything's on the table by way of conversations. And so coming off of the heels of BET Awards, which I honestly think we set a standard of excellence. Like no award show has been able to do, what we've done. And Connie, and the team, they're just amazing, right? And so when we were talking about how do we kind of keep this renewed sense of energy in the shows, the idea came up to moving it to New York, again, on the heels of all of the things that, New York specifically has gone through during the pandemic. And then we started talking about Apollo. And that, even internally when we were having these conversations, there was just so much excitement because we just knew like that's going to bring just a different level of energy to the show itself. And then all the things that we're doing, for the weekend, in terms of supporting the community. So we're just kind of like, really excited about it.
I can't wait for that. And I see, so it's been 40 years for BET, right?
A little 40 years, yeah. We're actually 40, we're now going into the 42nd year.
42nd year.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. Thinking about where BET started from, I don't even remember when BET launched. That's obviously.
Yeah, I mean, like Bob Johnson,
Shut up. No, I wasn't. We didn't even have cable anyway.
I was going to ask also, why New York? Why not LA or Atlanta or those places? Why move it to New York? Because, I used to hate when BET was in LA, right?
Why?
Because something always happened. It was never really about LA, but I love when, and I'm talking about the Hip Hop Awards.
Right.
I love when the Hip Hop Awards are in the Mecca in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Everything's going on around it, and there's so much going. It creates the weekend. So why Soul Train in New York? Like, is it a lot of artists there? Like,
no, for us, well, one, this is our home.
It's New York.
It's New York.
Why are you hating on New York?
No,
no.
New York is cold. It's hard. It's like
that winter fashion is nice.
Yeah, winter fashion. No, I mean, listen, New York is our home. It's our headquarters. And if you think about it, we don't really do any really big tent poles or our award shows here. And so, again, we've just been talking about this notion of coming back home to New York.
To the Apollo. The Apollo is legendary.
The Apollo Theater. And I think it's just going to, but it's a real invitation for the community. A lot of the things that we're doing in the community over the course of the weekend, it just felt right for us. I mean, I wish I could have a real big strategic answer, but it just felt right. It felt like it was something that we wanted to give back to the city of New York. So in addition to the show, we're doing a lot of things throughout the various kind of communities, a lot of surprise and delights, so we just may roll up in a neighborhood.
Yeah, y'all might just come to Coffee Uplift people, my coffee shop in Brooklyn, and just show up, and do some giveaways and things for the community.
Exactly. So I think, it's really intentional in terms of really just taking a bit of a beat and saying, New York, we love you. It's definitely, our backyard, in terms of, our headquarters. And I think, it's, there's nothing like New York.
And New York, we have been having a lot of issues. We have, like with people even going out. And we've talked about how deserted it's been in New York and just trying to revive everything. So I think that's important for us right now.
We want to kind of give a little hug and soul, bring the soul to the city.
Envy only hating a little bit because he does not want Maxwell in New York. Because Maxwell is getting he's being honored.
There's no story. She's lying.
So no. He's jealous because Maxwell.
Now I'm jealous. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well, okay. His wife loves Maxwell.
Oh, okay.
And she always is like, man, I wish I had a guy like Maxwell.
She's never said that.
Oh,
I don't know where she makes these things up.
But your wife didn't like Maxwell.
She loves Maxwell's
music.
That's all. Okay.
Doesn't everybody love Maxwell music?
The reason he doesn't want this to happen in New York.
Maxwell lives in New York. It doesn't matter. Goodness gracious.
Well, he's gonna have a might at the show, so
so you know, you might want to change the channel.
Oh my gosh, these guys are haters.
Just throwing it out there.
You know what it is? They make it awkward. Then when I see Maxwell, it's awkward when we speak. It's just awkward. I always wanted to know.
Maxwell's always like, "How's your wife?"
Shut up, yee.
He's like, "She's good. She's with me."
Yeah, she's with me.
Why?
Why? I always wanted to know with BET. We always talk about the HBCUs, right?
Yeah.
And you went to Howard.
I did, Howard.
The real HU, right?
Real HU.
Right.
Well,
thank you for joining us, man.
I was looking at, the sign back there. I wasn't going to say anything, but
I'm not going to say I'm going to let it slide. But, I was always thinking, why BET never showed the games, right? Because we always talk about the players.
Yep.
A lot of players don't want to go to a HBCU because they feel like they don't get enough TV time.
Yep.
So I was thinking about with all these great colleges, Hampton University, Howard the fake HU,
Oh, wow.
I'm just messing. But with all these great HBCUs, why not show the games on TV and the Battle of the Bands and the homecoming experience and that life that you never see on TV? We got like a little glimpse on a different world. But just imagine if, you went to Howard, the homecoming experience. Y'all ever thought about doing something like that?
So probably 8 years ago, we used to have a huge HBCU tour because we had a lot of the sports, to your point, a lot of the games. But wait, we got something in store. 22.
Good.
22. I mean, for me, I'm huge supporter of HBCU.
And the games be packed. Like when you go to the games, they're packed.
People will watch that.
People
it's the sports, but it's the culture of it, right? It's the music, it's the band. Again, people showing up in the little fashions for the football game. So it's a whole experience. And so, we're definitely going to lean in on that in 22. So we're excited about that.
All right, we got some difficult questions now.
Uh-oh.
So if you had to name your favorite show on BET, what would you say it is?
20s.
Okay. 20s. That was an easy one for you.
Yeah, I was going to say that's difficult 20s.
What about you, Yee? What's your favorite on BET?
My favorite show on BET ever?
Yes.
Well, I did really used to enjoy, but it's not on anymore, so I don't know if I should even say
What's
it.
the late night one where Nelly used to swipe the credit cards through the butts? That's the one?
Oh, my God,
no.
Envy. First of all, Nelly does not like when people bring that up.
What was the name of the show?
So you should look for him.
What was the name of the show?
Obviously with Gabrielle Union.
Oh.
Okay. So being Mary Jane.
Yeah,
Mary
that
Jane.
was
I did really enjoy that show. So I don't like to say shows that's not on anymore.
No, it was a special show. And I think, again, same for 20s. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's in partnership with Lena Waithe. I mean, the story
Donnell's
is
on it this season, by the way. I just want to point
beautifully shot, the music, but the storyline, it's really her story, trying to become a writer in Hollywood. And, it's the first, masculine presenting lead role, which is crazy.
Oh, really?
It's the first masculine presenting lead role on TV.
I didn't know that.
But that's just a part of it. That's not the totality of the story. It's really about, their friendships, and they're in their 20s just trying to figure out life. But I will tell you, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful narrative, beautifully shot. The music is amazing. Old classic music, so it's good. I'm really enjoying it. It's in the second season. But there are a number of shows. Sisters is doing really, really well for us. It's the number one show on cable.
I like that show too.
It's the number
That's
one.
on BET Plus.
No, it's on BET. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We do have some showing windows where we put some of the content on streaming. But it's the number one show on cable, not black cable.
Right,
number
on
one
cable,
show on
period.
Cable, right?
Is video shows done? Video shows like your 106 in Park, like the Rap
I don't think
Cities.
they're done. We just did a huge show right before the Hip Hop Awards.
The Rap City.
Really rated really, really well. So I think again, to your point, now it's like, okay, now how do you really now take that and scale it and really bring it into the programming? So no, I don't think so.
Because I don't have BET. I think it's BET Plus. I don't have BET Plus, but I went to shout out to Mano. I went to Mano's house, and he had BET Plus on, and he was showing videos. And there was so many videos that I've never seen in my life, and I was like, who still shows these videos? But I thought it was cool, an opportunity. But I think that can still live, or even a podcast show.
Right. Yep.
You ever thought about doing what about a morning show about, with 3 different personalities talking about everything?
Like the Breakfast Club.
But I see y'all I was going to say, but you got
no, it's
the
no more
whole,
revolt. So we just changed. There's no more revolt.
Okay.
So, I just think
I'm going to change. Can I change mine around too? Because I don't want to be
Oh, yeah, we still got the flags on.
Shout the puff, but, revolt's not here. I'm serious. What about shows like
He said I'm serious. No, for real.
Yeah. I love that.
But there's so many different shows and experiences.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. I love that. Because I do think, for us, this is kind of, we talk about, we used to be heavy in news, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
I remember that.
Remember Ed Gordon
and
back in the day?
Yep.
Laz Alonso used to host.
Yep.
But people want their news different now, right? And so you think about the whole spirit of newstainment, right? And that's kind of really what you guys are doing. You're really talking about cultural things, but you're talking about it in a way that is, people can receive it and digest it and learn. And so I think it's a really good spot. I'm laughing at Tasha over here because we've been talking about podcasts. So, we got a lot of things going on in 22. I will tell you, 2020 was a record year for BET out of its entire history.
Really?
Yes.
What year was it?
We were working hard. 2020.
2020. Okay, so right after you got there.
Yeah,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I will say I have seen a change for BET.
Yes.
And I love what BET is doing. I love how they're grinding it out. I love how they're getting talent from the people talking the streets that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Even with 85 South and all of that. I'm starting to see it for the last couple of years. I was a little turned off from BET, but I really like what BET is doing.
Yeah. We're trying to, bring you back, right? And I think it's it's a really, really smart team that works really, really hard. Like I tell you, we really do take the responsibility of kind of this brand and what it's meant to our community very seriously. So I thank you for that because we're working hard.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that the results are proving out. 20, again, record year. 21, we're even blowing that out the water. And I think it is because of all the things that you just talked about, like really just being.
I don't think people felt connected to BET before.
Right. Exactly.
Because even me, I never felt connected.
Yeah.
And now I see people starting to connect the dots and people starting to talk about it more, seeing it more.
Exactly.
And I think
the original programming has been amazing.
Amazing. Record level, like original program. But I'll tell you, to your point, when I first started, 30 days in, I went out on a listening tour. I went to all the different cities because I wanted to hear what do you think, yada yada. And I'll never forget a person in Atlanta told me, he said, we see BET but we don't feel BET. And that stuck with me. And so I was like, cool, got it. And now we're trying to be felt. And a lot of that is not only just new great programming, but also going out to the communities like what we're doing with you on this weekend. But doing that, whether it's Detroit, Philly, Chicago, all of the things, we're really kind of getting back. And I'm been a marketer my entire career. I mean, you got to have that dual strategy. You got to be felt in the community.
Especially during COVID. You guys did a lot for the communities during the pandemic.
Yes. We, what was so interesting about that was, we know this audience better than anyone. So we didn't have to wait on the reports to come out. We knew immediately that our community was going to be hard hit. When you started talking about, work from home, where only 20% of us have the luxury to work from home. And then we start talking about all these underlying conditions and and we live in these high density, environments.
And small businesses suffering.
Small businesses. And so we took it upon ourselves literally and we said, who's going to save us? So we have to kind of do it in about 10 days, just the leadership team. We raised over $20 million, just picking up the phone, calling. We had that show. That was our first kind of package show, remote package show that, again, Connie and team kind of blew it out of the water. But those are the things that we take seriously, right? And it's like, you look at all of these other, platforms and networks who have Black content. And I think it's great, right? Because there's so much Black content coming into the marketplace. But it's kind of like, they want our rhythm, they don't want our blues type thing, But for us, we can't separate, And so we feel we feel this real commitment to help change outcomes. And so whether it was COVID or all the other things that we've been doing, just the whole spirit of, just the education piece around the vaccine, and trying to give, informed data to the community. So there's a whole education piece, entertainment piece to everything that we do. But yeah, we're working hard, so we want to continue to have people feel like there's something new and different happening.
I would just think with BET and you look at some of these other networks, right? You look at the HGTV, right? And I'm not going to say there's white people teaching white people, but it's white people teaching white people how to flip houses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It should be black people on BET
and
teaching
about
black
to pitch
people.
his house a little bit.
No, I'm not pitching that. But also, like, same thing with crypto and, explaining us what crypto is. And same thing with when COVID hit.
Yep.
Like somebody that looks like us, that's explaining to us what COVID is and how it affects the body, what the vaccine does. Like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, we search for that. But if you look at, everybody else, they have the place where they can go,
That's exactly
we don't have that,
Yeah, and I think to your point, even with COVID, we were intentional about, I'm on the board at Morehouse School of Medicine, but we were intentional about getting black doctors who could speak the language, right? And really break it down. Like, this is what happens, da-da-da-da. And so we're really being intentional about that. But I think you're right. We've just launched, probably about a year ago, on the heels of the murder of George Floyd, we launched a platform called Content for Change, and that's the exact intent, right? To be able to have those types of conversations, be able to have whether it's a black version of Shark Tank. Yeah, a black version of Shark Tank, right? Yeah. But the whole spirit of that platform is to be able to represent the fullness of us, in a way that includes, what does it mean to be, black entrepreneur, and having access to the people who are doing it, but talking to the younger generation in a way that gives those lessons, right? We're next week we're launching a new show with Rich Paul. And it's a 5-part docuseries on, with him taking 5 of his college athletes through the NBA, draft process. But if you know Rich and like his approach, he's teaching these kids not just about basketball, but this notion of how do you win, both on and off the court. And so I think it's going to be a powerful story. He's talking, he's sitting down with their families, with their moms, educating them on what it means as you have the potential to become a, multi-millionaire overnight. Like, what does that look like? And really kind of, educating these kids and kind of being a part of that journey. So I think, that's one of our ways of really trying to share these stories in a way that you'll look at it, but then also learn, your laugh, but then there's a lesson behind the laughter, all of those types of things.
And culturally, he's so much more relatable to these kids than anybody else, just because of where he came from.
Absolutely.
And then even the fact that him being in the space that he's in as an agent and being one of, there's not a lot of black super agents like how he is. And a lot of times he's under a microscope, and everything that he does, they dissect it, they criticize it, they try to say that he's not eligible for this because he doesn't have this certification. Yeah.
But to your point, I mean, his story is so amazing. I mean, I think we're just really scratching the surface of kind of him. His whole journey in and of itself is like a story to be told. But I think you're absolutely right, and he's going to be able to unpack a lot of that because it's real. And to your point, I just saw the article about you can't become an agent unless you kind of have a college degree or a certification. It's like but again.
And you couldn't have anticipated he'd be dating Adele when you guys first started doing this either.
Could not have anticipated that. But no, he's a great guy, and I can't wait for
because that's good for marketing. I know you have a marketing background. That's also really good.
Absolutely. But he's showing up like a real partner to your point, and he wants BET to win. Because he grew up like everybody, like watching. He's like, no, you guys have to do this, got to do that, and so we love his energy. He's challenging us. We're pushing back, and at the end of the day, it's gonna be even greater, in terms of content, because he has really shown up like a real partner on that.
And to the point of working with these small businesses and also supporting the Black community and being felt, and not just seen. You also have an initiative that you're doing that we're actually participating in.
Yes. So
with your money.
With your money. I like that.
Yes. So over the last couple of years, especially the last 2 years, we really have been intentional about supporting Black businesses, especially during the pandemic. And so as part of our effort this weekend with Soul Train Awards, we are doing the same thing. We're supporting Black businesses. And so as a thank you to you guys and in support of all the things that you're doing, would love to know your favorite Black-owned restaurant, because we want on your behalf give each of the restaurants $10,000 a piece.
That is absolutely incredible, Kim. Like, I think that's amazing for these restaurants. I know whoever gets this is going to be appreciative. I'm so excited. I'm excited for whoever I pick. I'm not excited for whoever I don't pick, but I love y'all anyway. And you guys know I come and I spend my money there all the time.
That's right. I'm thinking right now, there's a restaurant called Gia's Six Kids.
Shut up, Envy. You so selfish.
What?
Did you drive that Ferrari here today?
No.
Relax. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. That is pretty dope. So now I got to think of good restaurants now.
Yeah,
I'll help you.
It's our pleasure.
No, I don't need your help.
How about I pick for you, you pick for me?
Okay.
And then Charlamagne gets to pick too.
You don't eat seafood, so that's whack. I'm going to pick a seafood place. I like seafood. You don't eat seafood.
What Black-owned seafood restaurant? So you already know what you're picking.
It's between two.
Tell us.
One's in Manhattan, one's in Queens.
Okay.
The one in Manhattan is doing well, though, so I don't want to give them a thing. You know what I mean?
And that's something to take into consideration, too.
That is.
If somebody's doing really well,
I know the one in New York in the city, but I don't.
Yeah, we do. I would rather give it to a restaurant that I know they'll be really grateful for it.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
We're so happy that you came back. I know you're super busy, but the Soul Train Awards coming up, and I know it was a lot to try. They're like, she has stuff before this, she has stuff after this. Let's squeeze it in. But Kim Paige, EVP and Chief Marketing Officer for BET, I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know it's not easy to get you up here, especially during this crunch time.
No. And I was just, again, thank you guys. But in addition to all the amazing things that we're going to do, whether, the show, on Saturday, all the community stuff we're doing. On Sunday, we're trying to break the Guinness Book of Records for the longest Soul Train line.
Okay.
Ed Marcus, Gallery Park.
In
Harlem, everybody come out. Starts around noon. But yeah, so the record is held somewhere where it shouldn't be held. I don't even know where it's held. But we want
the nerve.
Right. We want to hold the record. And so really just want to invite everyone to come out. It's going to be music and fun and, bring the whole family out.
So everybody can go to that and then come to Powerhouse afterward.
That's right. That's right.
Pretty cool for a Howard alum.
Thank you. Back at you.
Well, thank you so
Emmy,
much.
did you graduate from Hampton?
Yes, I did graduate from Hampton.
Okay, just making sure.
I did. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
It's Kim Paige.
We need the transcripts.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.